welcome back to the channel for my review of episode 28 of Fragile Hope. The episode resumes where 25 left off, and Lloyd tries to turn the Ice Emperor in what I think is probably the best scene of the season yet. However, Vex interferes and a small fight follows in which Lloyd is easily defeated and the Ice Emperor sends him to the dungeons. Meanwhile, the other less important ninja and Crag are searching for the land bounty when these wolves encounter them, and so they are forced to flee from them. However, they do find the land bounty. Meanwhile, Lloyd meets Kataru in prison, and so he actually informs Kataru that Akita is alive. Kataru actually didn't think Akita was alive and believed her to be dead, which is ironic considering Akita thought the same about her own brother. Then Vex comes with this sarcastic clap, and Lloyd is really mad at him. Lloyd accuses him of being a coward and questions how exactly he corrupted Zane, and to that, Vex replies with the standard villain response of, "I will eliminate anyone who gets in my way." Nia is able to quickly fix the land bounty, and she manages to start it up by kicking it, because yeah, that's how you want to start up something if you're ever in an emergency, and so the land bounty sets out towards the ice castle. Meanwhile, Grimfax actually decides to switch over to Lloyd's side and freeze Lloyd and Kataru, and so a new resistance has been born. So I'll start by saying this episode was really good, and no, it wasn't written by Burke, Wyatt, or Braggy Shit. It was actually written by some other guy named Matt Hill, who I've never heard of before. Again, I have no idea who he is, but bring him back to write some more episodes, please. I will start by saying that the first scene where Lloyd tries to turn the Ice Emperor is probably the best scene of the season. First of all, the soundtrack is just so well done during the scene. I love this rendition of Zane's theme, kind of sad sounding with the piano being played, and Vex's role in the scene is also really good. Again, also helping to establish him as the main villain and the mastermind behind this entire operation. I've enjoyed the dynamic between Vex and Zane, and the incorporation of Lloyd into this dynamic during the scene is also really cool too. And there's also the Pink Zane reference, which is pretty epic as well, and just all in all, the script writing during the scene was really outstanding. But we also have to talk about the superb voice acting, and the scene would not be the same without it. We have Sam Vincent's surprise and shock that he portrays in Lloyd, and then also the true evilness sounding in Vex's voice. Vex's voice is really something incredible, easily one of the better villain voices that we have had during the last year. And then also the Ice Emperor, the confusion and this feeling that he's kind of lost in his own mind that is excellently portrayed in his voice. Just the voice acting for the villains during the season has been truly incredible. And beyond the scene, I feel like some of the humor in this episode actually wasn't terrible. Like Jay just running from the wolves, I feel like that was kind of in character for him. And it wasn't bad actually. It wasn't as obnoxious as some of the other jokes in this season have been. It was also nice to see Kataru in Lego form, and his interactions with Lloyd were nice, and how he kind of has this sense of hopelessness. I mean, he's been in the cell for decades, presumably, and obviously this hopelessness is definitely in character for him. And I like this contrast to Lloyd, who is very hopeful still, obviously keeping a lot of his development from Season 9, which I think is great. But at the same time, he isn't just this stereotypical leader in a kid's show. He's also showing other forms of emotion too, and he's not just, oh, everything's gonna be great. And Lloyd shows this when Vex comes with his sarcastic clap and mocks them basically. Lloyd is furious, and rightfully too, he has all the reason to be. And I was kind of disappointed that Vex is going to be the main villain of the season rather than the Ice Emperor as it seems. But you know what, Vex is still a darn good candidate, and I still think him as the main villain is going to be awesome, even though the Ice Emperor story is a lot more interesting. Then there is the final scene when Grimfax comes and frees the prisoners, and I thought this was a wonderful setup for episodes 29 and 30. Definitely has me hyped for them, and this new resistance is born, which I think was an awesome nod back to Season 9. A few small issues for the other ninja stuff. I am kind of disappointed with the season in general, has just basically tossed aside the other ninja, at least in the ice chapter, and I guess that's just me voicing my problems with the season, or the chapter rather in general, not the episode specifically, but I just didn't care too much about the other ninja in this episode, I'm not saying that those scenes with them were bad, because they weren't, but the other scenes are just a lot more interesting, and I feel like the season could have done more to make the other ninja more interesting. And on the other side of things, only one small issue, Grimfax's redemption does seem a bit rushed, a little bit forced, and I feel like it could have been done a little bit more smoothly. I guess when you put the clues together, it does make sense on paper. I mean, he is rumored to be the original emperor of the Neverrealm, who was overthrown by Vex and Zane, and there's also the fact that he was almost punished by Vex and the Ice Emperor. And then there's also the fact that he was there when Lloyd was explaining that the Ice Emperor was once Zane, a good guy. But I feel like these clues aren't really put together to provide a believable redemption, and so it just kind of comes out of the blue. So, final thoughts for the episode. Well, I do think that the plot was really well done. The pacing of this episode was nice. It was a slower story on the Ice Castle side of things, but you also balance it out with including the other ninja in there too. And as for the ninja, I mean, they weren't bad at all. I just don't feel like they were excellent. It's just kind of indifference on my part. I don't think they were bad, so I wouldn't take points off. But I feel like it is, in the end, a setup for the next episode, so I can excuse that. The episode also had some amazing character moments as well, particularly Vex, the Ice Emperor, and Lloyd. These three characters are definitely the best of the Ice chapter and the season in general, and their voice acting is just really good in the season and the episode too. I like the action in this episode. You just had a few small bursts of action, and they didn't get repetitive or boring, and I thought that was handled really well. You have Lloyd battling the Ice Emperor very briefly before he gets defeated, and then the other ninja with the wolf, and I feel like all this was nice because this episode is kind of a setup while also focusing on the more emotional side of things. And we have to talk about emotion, easily the best out of these four aspects. The emotion in this episode was just wonderful, and especially that first scene with the Ice Emperor and Lloyd. There's the combination of three aspects that come together and make the scene what it is, and that would be the script writing, the amazing soundtrack, and the awesome voice acting, and it all produces this great scene. There's also the interaction with Lloyd and Vex, and this was great because I've said this a few times in reviews before, but a lot of the times during the season, emotion tends to feel either muted or forced, and this was one of those instances where it definitely did feel genuine. If you thought Harumi was a hateable character, Vex is definitely 10 times worse, and this scene really helps to show the viewer that. In the end, I'm going to give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. This was a really good episode and probably my favorite of the season so far. And this was due to amazing writing, and then you also have a genuine sense of emotion that is present in this episode too. And then this episode wouldn't be the same without the amazing voice acting too, namely from Vex, Lloyd, and the Ice Emperor. Anyways, this episode was really effective in getting you hyped for the final episodes, and this huge battle that is brewing. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone ever you know, and let me know what you guys thought of episode 28, A Fragile Hope. Once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.